All right. So today is a bit of a well-rounded practice, both stretch and strengthen full body. But we are also going to predominantly work on opening the heart and the hips. So, yeah, get ready for a bit of an energetic practice. Sitting comfortably. And if you like, you can close your eyes or keep them half open. And getting nice and settled and grounded through your legs and hips, soft through your belly, and lifted into your spine, relaxed into your shoulders and arms. And then just taking a moment to notice the sounds around you. Noticing the air temperature and the feeling of your clothes resting on your body. And with an observer approach, just noticing how you're feeling today, no judgment, noticing your thoughts, the pace of your thoughts, and then beginning to tune into your breath, and just taking some conscious breaths without changing the breath. And very gradually starting to deepen your breath, feeling your belly expand, feeling your lungs expand, and feeling your belly and your chest and lungs gently decompress as you exhale. And taking a few more rounds of this slow, deep, deliberate breathing. And getting ready to sync our breath to move through 5 rounds of Goranga breathing as we inhale, silently drawing the mantra Goranga into our mind. And as we exhale, saying the sound Goranga for the entire length of our exhalation. So let's exhale completely. Take a deep breath. Goranga. Continuing on, inhale. Goranga. 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 One last time. Goranga. Returning to your regular breathing pattern and taking a moment of personal self reflection here to set an intention for your practice. And the importance of setting that intention at the beginning of our practice is that's what can really help make it your own. So even though we might be going through the same movements and having a very similar experience, you can tailor it to suit the intention that you set, making minor adjustments and modifications throughout your practice to kind of try and stay in alignment with that intention. All right, well, let's begin just sitting comfortably in a cross-legged position and moving through just a little bit of very relaxed spinal movement. So starting by going round and round in circles, starting nice and small and slowly building up, trying to feel the movement of the vertebra as they articulate into each other, and then going back in the opposite direction. Good. And come back to center, dropping your chin down toward your chest and slowly rolling down, feeling that nice pulling and tugging through your spine, your back, and slowly roll up. Gently lifting the chin and bring your head back to center, sitting up nice and tall, taking your head from side to side. Good. And come back to center. And now taking your belts, folding it in half, and taking one end of the belt in each hand. We'll take the arms up and taking your arms back just until you get into a nice shoulder stretch. Lift and lengthen through your spine. So up to you. If you want to soften a little, soften into the lower back and exaggerate that extension through your spine, go ahead. Or keeping the belly drawing in and really emphasize into the shoulders. And slowly return to center, taking the arms forward, relaxing the shoulders just for one breath. And raising the arms up, and then we'll take it a little from side to side. So grounding down through the right hip as you drop the arms over to the left and coming back up to center and over to the right, grounding down through the left hip. Come all the way back up to center. Now over to the left and taking the belt all the way down to the floor, left hand to the floor, and then dropping the top shoulder forward, but you're pulling away on the belt. So you're getting really nice long line of energy from that right hip up the right side of the body into the hand. You can take the chin in toward the chest if you like, and then taking it back. And you might like to bend through the elbow, drawing it down and back. So you're really working on pulling against the belt to feel the stretch throughout the arms, the shoulder, armpit. And then inhale coming up. Let's take it up and over to the other side. Lowering the hand to the floor and then dropping that top arm forward, pulling into the belt, pressing away, pressing down into the left hip. And then soft bend through the elbow, taking it back. Keep pressing down into that lower hand. Just kind of curiosity, feeling into those areas that need it, and then inhale, coming all the way back up and taking your belt to the side. We're going to put it towards the top of your mat where you're going to be sun saluting. So placing it there and then taking your feet out in front, working into the hips now. So feet about hip distance apart, resting on your hands, rocking your knees from side to side. You can allow the hips to move up off the floor if you like, just going with it. And starting to encourage your knees to come all the way down to the floor. And over to the side. So at this point of our practice, not too worried about syncing the breath with our movement. You're just getting your body moving, getting your tissues all juiced up. And come back up to center. Being mindful of your knees, feel free to go onto a block for this next pose. We're going to go into hero. So sitting, kneeling on your heels, and then taking your feet apart as you sit your hips down in between your feet. Hugging your feet in nice and close to your hips, sitting up nice and tall. Placing your hands, palms down on your lap, lifting into the crown of your head, chin is gently tucked, and taking 5 breaths here. And with every outward breath, seeing if you can surrender and soften down to the earth a little more, feeling your joints relaxing. Every outward breath, you're just letting go and you're going with it, trusting your body, trusting the gentle discomfort in this pose. And one more breath here. Nice big lift into the spine. And just to open up through the chest, taking your hands back behind you. Lift and crack open through the heart center, drawing the shoulder blades in toward each other, lifting the head. Nice big breath. And exhale, release. Hands come forward as you lift your hips and cross over at the ankles to come back and sit on your hips. And from here, holding the right foot, raising that right knee up, drawing it back in towards your armpit, starting to work into the hip in preparation for half lotus. So if you'd like to do a few little rock the babies, feel free to, again, just hydrating through the hip, waking up the hip joint and building that connection between your mind and body. And when you feel ready and able to, you can lay your foot down in half lotus. So if you're not able to go fully into half lotus, even just taking your foot up as high as feels comfortable or accessible. And once you're in position, taking your hands to your knees, and taking a few breaths here. Again, just letting go and getting grounded. And if you're familiar with engaging Mula Bandha, gently contracting through that pelvic floor region, sealing off that energy lock. And we're going to release the right foot down, taking hold of the left foot, bringing that right foot in, and just working into the hip, drawing the knee back, lifting your lower back forward, and take a little rocking motion. Good. And when you feel ready, lowering the foot down, not having the expectation that both sides are going to feel the same. So listening to your body, not forcing both sides into the same position. Staying here for 3 breaths. So this practice of lotus pose isn't just about flexibility of the hips, it's also the alignment of your spine. Coordinating your breath as well is really good for grounding and coordinating our prana. And one more breath here. So option here now is to just sit quietly for a few breaths in easy sitting pose, or if you're able to go into full lotus, finding your way into lotus position and hands palms down to the knees. And let's take 5 breaths here. Really getting your breath flowing now and maybe visualizing the breath flowing up and down your spine as well. Cultivating some mode of goodness energy as we flow our breath up and down the sushumna, that central energetic channel. Beautiful. One more breath here. Slowly release, unfolding your legs. Very nice. Coming over onto all fours and just give your feet a little tap to relax into your ankles and step your feet forward, coming to the top of your mat. Taking a forward fold here, bending through your knees. Inhale, sliding your hands up your shins. Nice big stretch, opening up through the backs of the legs, drawing the belly in. And exhale, folding forward, soften through the knees. Slowly roll up. And come to standing mountain, grounding down through your feet, lifting nice and tall, and getting ready for 3 rounds of sun salutations. Inhale, reaching up, palms come together. Exhale, folding forward, bending the knees if you need to. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold, jump or step back into plank position. Lower down. Inhale, cobra or upward dog, taking it easy, being mindful of your spine this early in your practice. Exhale, lifting back into downward dog, holding here for 3 breaths. And for this first downward dog, taking your time to warm up into the pose. Feel free to lift and lower your heels and stretch out. Fingers and thumbs spread nice and wide, pressing down with an outward pressure, spiraling outwards through the hands, strong through the shoulders. And jump or step your feet forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, lower the arms. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold, jump or step back and lower down. Inhaling up. Exhale, lifting back. Counting 3 breaths. 1, 2, 3, and jump or step your feet forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, lower the arms, mountain. One more time. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold, jump or step. Lower down. And inhaling up into upward dog. Exhaling, downward dog. Finding your breath. Settling into the pose. Now jump or step your feet forward. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands by your sides. All right. Let's take our belt, still folded in half is fine, and holding the belt behind our back. Start by just clasping hold of the belt behind you, so hands behind hips, and start to pull the belt. So you're pulling away in the belt to activate through the shoulders, nice and strong, and then start to raise your arms up, opening up through the chest, and then taking it down into the legs, bending through the knees, and laying your belly over your thighs, taking your arms up and over. So now you can relax your grip, comfortable and comfortable grip. And most of the work If you'd like to straighten out through the legs, go ahead. Staying here for just a couple more breaths. Now, softly bending through to your thighs, begin to lower your arms. Come all the way up to standing. And release. Lowering the belt now to the side. You guys can stay standing where you are. I'll just move back for visibility. So from here, inhale, raising the arms up. Feet are at hip distance apart and dropping down into chair position. So you're awakening your ankles, taking the weight nice and deep into your hips, drawing into your belly. Don't be afraid to sit back. And then reaching into your fingertips, shoulders down away from your ears. Holding here for just a couple more breaths. And you can play with your ankles and your ankle mobility by gently taking your knees forward a little more and back a little, forward a little more. You can also emphasize lifting through your inner arches or rolling into your inner arches as well. Staying here for one more breath. So it's taking the focus away from the thighs and the hips and more into the feet and the ankles. And then pressing all the way up to stand. Exhale, arms down by your sides. Shifting your weight to your left foot, gripping down with those left toes and taking hold of your right foot. Starting to draw your foot in toward your hip. Emphasis on stretching and opening through the front of the right hip. We're going to be practicing dancer pose a little later, so doing a bit of prep work. Good. And bring that knee forward, hugging the knee in. Interlocking both hands around your knee. Drawing in. Keeping your breath flowing. And from here, rest if you need to in between transition, but we're going to go send that foot right back. Leg in the air for warrior three. So keeping the right hip rolling down, arms along your sides if you like, shoulders down away from your ears. Or for more of a challenge, taking the arms forward, palms facing each other, and trying to get your whole body running parallel with the floor. And slowly return to standing, coming back into mountain. Take a breath. Nice. Shifting your weight to your right foot and taking hold of your left foot, drawing that heel right into your hip as you press the left hip forward, shoulders down away from your ears, and already visualizing grounding down through that foot and growing roots down through that foot so you're really grounded to the floor. Good. And take the knee forward, resting anytime you need to, just bringing that left foot to the floor anytime. Excellent. And getting ready now, shifting into warrior three. A little micro bend in that standing leg can make the pose modified enough to make it a little bit more accessible. So feel free to bend through that leg as needed. And I'm cheating here. I'm using my wall. Arms by your sides and further still. So that ankle awakening we did in chair pose, feeling how active your ankle and your foot is now in this pose. Keeping the left hip rolling down, pressing back into your back heel, reaching forward into your fingertips, and relax. Take a breath here. Beautiful. All right, inhale, reaching up. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, jump a step. Lower down. Inhaling up. Exhale, downward dog. Taking a few breaths here, stretching out, taking a little time for yourself. If you feel like you want to come into child's pose, go ahead. One more breath here. Walking the hands back to meet your feet. cradling the elbows in the hands and hang forward. See if you can scoop in through your belly. So draw in through your belly, hips are stacked above the heels. And see if you can draw your upper body in toward your thighs. Head is drawing down toward the ground. One more breath. Release your hands to the floor, walking them forward again. Come back into downward dog and step the right foot forward. Drop the back knee to the floor. Hands to your front knee, settling into a low lunge position. And see how much you can let go into the pose. Just like we did earlier, allowing a certain level of discomfort and trusting your body, trusting the sensations. Good. And raising the arms up. And exhale, opening them out wide. So bending through the elbows and pressing the forearms back, cracking open through the heart center again as you open up through the hips. Good. And bring your hands to the floor. Tuck the back toes under, step back into downward dog. Take a breath. Stepping your left foot forward. Drop your back knee down. Flatten your back foot. Taking your time to come into low lunge. Getting oriented in your hips. And knees stacked above your ankle. Settling into your breath. Feeling the hips to be awakened with all those sensations of stretching and feeling the joints. And then inhale, raising the arms up. Exhale, bending through the elbows, pressing the forearms back, opening up through the heart center. Nice and long and broad through your collarbones. And slowly release. Hands to the floor. Sliding your way back into child's pose, into downward dog. But you know what? I feel like we're ready for a child's pose. Taking your knees to the floor, hips to your heels, forehead to the floor with your arms alongside your body. Just taking a few breaths there. And if you like, you can open your knees out wide and add a variation, stretching your arms out and walking your hands over to one side. Just take one nice lengthening breath here. And then walk your hands back to center and over to the other side. And slowly come back to center. Walk your hands back, bring your knees together, and take your hands forward. Come back into downward dog. Jump or step your feet forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Hands come straight down through your heart center as you sweep one leg back. Doesn't matter which side. And taking your arms out at shoulder height, turning the right toes out, coming straight into a triangle pose. So gently bringing in those back toes and folding over the front leg. Resting your hand on your ankle, reaching up into the top hand, nice and firm through your legs. Gazing at your fingertips or down at the lower foot. Inhale, navel drawing in, leading with the top hand, come all the way up to standing, turning the right toes in and the left toes out, and triangle on the left side or your other side. I'm smiling for some reason. I don't know why. Don't question it, Sammy. Loves a good triangle with friends. Inhale, reaching up through the top hand, coming back up to center. We're going to swivel the toes around to face the top of the mat, bringing your hands behind you. So a couple of options. We're going for heart opening here. Um, so emphasis on opening up through the chest, either hands behind you or hands on your hips, and just accentuating by drawing the elbows back in toward each other. If you're familiar with and able to access reverse namaste prayer, bringing the palms together behind you. So your hips are nice and balanced. Pelvis is balanced as you fold forward. Modification is to bend through the front knee. And hovering halfway. So it's a little bit more strengthening, but we do have that nice opening through the chest, navel drawing in, feet are firmly pressing into the floor. Spine is long. Inhale, lift up. We're going to keep our arms where they are, swivel all the way around to the other side. Check that your feet are hip distance apart, pelvis is neutral, and fold forward. Good. Inhale, lifting up, coming back, facing sideways on your mat. Slowly release. And take your feet out as wide as you like. Big toes coming in slightly, slightly pigeon-toed sensation. Again, hands to your hips, elbows in, and folding forward. For a pretty relaxed wide leg forward fold at this point, there's a bit of a relaxed counter pose to the previous pose, folding triangle. So positioning your arms wherever they feel comfortable and grounding down through your feet, drawing that energy all the way up into the hips. Good, just 2 more breaths here. And just to bring the chest into this pose, slight variation. So hands to the floor, lifting halfway up. Take a breath and a little break. And then walk your hands forward, going into a puppy-like chest. So palms to the floor, arms and chest nice and open, and then emphasizing just dropping into the shoulders, dropping into the chest. If you feel like you need to widen your stance a little to access that, go ahead. And just settling in for a few breaths. Now press into your palms. Walk your hands back, coming into a half lift. Then begin to heel toe your feet back together. And coming all the way down, bend your knees, coming down to the floor. Shake out your legs. A little shake. All right, bringing the right foot in. Stretching out through the backs of our legs, not forgetting that we are going into dancer pose soon. So just doing a little bit more work through our legs and hips, lifting up nice and tall and folding forward over the left leg. Staying with your breath. Good. Lifting up and change sides. Folding over the right leg. Good. Release and come up. Take both legs out and give them a little shake. Crossing the ankles over and coming onto your knees, sliding the right knee forward to come into pigeon pose. So we're not actually going to fold forward in this pigeon pose. We're going to stay upright because this mimics dancer pose positioning. So taking your front foot out as far as you like, or keeping it nice and tucked in, snug to the hip if you like. Nice and tall, pressing the palms down into that lower leg or the floor, and seeing if you can get your spine nice and long. Good. So feeling that extension through your spine, opening up through the chest, still getting a bit of a stretch through your hips. And now transitioning from here into catching the back foot. So for me personally, I like to bring my front foot right in nice and close to my hip, just because of my spine is not super mobile. So reaching for your back foot. But if you want to go still into pigeon with just a mermaid back tail, feel free to go ahead and reposition your front leg however you like. So we are trying to keep that left hip rolling down, no biggie if it's not ideal. If you can catch your foot on your elbow, tucking the toe into that elbow, and you might just stop here and take a little chin mudra, or take the right hand to catch the left fingertips, and the head rests on the arms. And then again, just working on rolling that left hip down. Keep breathing. Slowly release. Releasing that back foot. And coming onto all fours. Rock your hips from side to side. Maybe take a little round and round cat. And then take the left knee forward. Dialing that foot out to come into pigeon pose. Keeping in mind that we are going to be staying upright. And hands to the floor or positioned on your front leg. Propping yourself up so you're lifting up nice and tall through your spine, nice and proud and open through your chest. Keeping the right hip rolling down. And when you're ready, turning to your left to catch the back foot. Bringing your front foot in nice and snug to your hip, rolling the hip down, and just being mindful that maybe one side isn't as flexible or as accessible as the other. So not forcing. If you can, catching the hand. Slowly release. And take it back into toes together, knees out wide. And thread your arms through for variation of child's pose, turning your cheek to the side. And relax. Great. So great child's pose for pregnant women. Steffi. All right, staying there for just a couple more breaths, turning your head to the other side. All right, bringing your knees together and come up to sit. We're going to go stand up now for dancer pose. We'll start using the belt. If you want to make a loop with your belt. And one thing I would love to invite you to practice too, when you're going into poses that require a little bit of coordination, A nice thing to do or something that can be really helpful is to visualize the pose before you do it. So visualize it and feel it, how it would feel on a visceral level. So the grounding down through your foot, what it's like to hold onto your foot or the belt, what the spinal extension will feel like, and already start to visualize it. And it makes it easier to then move into it and create it on a physical level. So you have your belt in a loop and starting to get grounded on the left foot. We'll start with the right leg and hook your belt around your right foot. Then you're going to take it over your shoulder like so. And from here, this is where you have control now. So the belt, your foot is facing down, the sole of your foot is facing up, and you have control here through this right arm. But your whole body is grounding down and poised, and you're staying aware of your center of gravity. And then just start to raise that foot up using two hands if you like. The traditional pose was two hands over the head, grabbing the back foot. So this is a really nice way to access that experience of the pose without if you don't have the flexibility to go all the way. And the other option is to just go one arm over your shoulder, propped over your shoulder, and taking your arm forward. So taking full control of the pose, and also play with pressing your foot into the belt, and notice how that helps activate through the leg, through the hip, and sort of bring that position to life. And you can also play with bowing forward a little. Whoop. Mhm. And knowing how to fall out too. So especially with the belt, if you're going to fall out of the pose, you can just release and foot to the floor. So let's transition to the other side. We'll do a couple of times on each side just to even it out and balance it out. And I think it's really important too. I know with my classes that I offer publicly with you guys, we're constantly moving and flowing, and it's like, okay, one pose is done and we're on to the next pose. But you can really get so much depth of understanding in a pose and unlock new experiences in a pose if you play for a bit and if you do it informally and kind of repeat the pose a few times, try different entries, try different positions. So that's what we're doing now. We are having a bit of a play. And notice the sensations in your foot and ankle, how important your ankle strength and mobility and proprioceptive awareness through your feet is. Release. So you can keep playing with the belt if you like, or try again without the belt, holding the front of the ankle and getting nice and braced through your core, raising the arm and foot, keeping the hip rolling down as you take the leg back and up. And just gently gazing at a point in front of you. It's good. It's really a whole body kind of a pose. So good for coordination. I feel like my brain is just all lit up trying to do this pose. All right, when you're done, take your feet nice and wide, maybe even as wide as the mat, at least hip distance apart, and fold forward. Hands to the floor with your palms up. Relax your spine, moving your hips from side to side a little, just getting all nice and gooey and relaxed in a forward fold.
All right. And final pose before we make our way down to the floor is to go into garlands. This is a really nice one to take a nice long flexion through the spine. So just gently, bit of a gentle counter pose. So no need to work too strongly into your hips, but feel free to go into a hip stretch as well if you like. Otherwise, just hanging out in a nice deep squat. Good. And when you're ready, then drop your hips to the floor, come down onto your back, crossing your ankles over one another, and hold your feet. Gently rock your knees from side to side. And then cross your other ankle over the top, again holding your feet. And uncross the ankles, holding your knees, and make some small circles with your knees, massaging into your sacrum and back in the opposite direction. Drop your feet to the floor, taking your feet out mat distance apart and dropping your knees all the way to the left. Raise them back to center and all the way over to the right. Good. Come back to center and make yourself comfortable for Shavasana. Because we have done a bit of spine work, you might like to take a bolster under your knees or bend your knees, feet out wide, and allow your knees to fall into each other. And that just softens through the spine a little. All right. Making yourself comfortable, coming back to the intention that you set at the beginning of your practice. And reflecting on if you were able to carry that intention throughout your practice. And if you didn't, that's all good. You still got time. Maybe you'll just take it out through the rest of the day. Noticing how your body feels after your practice, and again, reflecting on how you're feeling and your mental state, not so much to dig into it, but as a note of before and after your practice. How did you feel at the beginning versus how you're feeling now? And then starting to let go into Shavasana, feeling your body getting heavier and heavier. Allowing your hips to soften and relax. Feeling your spine and every individual joint to be soft and relaxed. Visualizing all of the intervertebral discs plumping up with fresh synovial fluid after all the beautiful work you've done tonight or today. Feeling your heart center to be soft and light. Noticing how our practice can help to calm our mind, make it so that it's easier to hear or be present for those insights that come from within, from the heart.
the Lord in the heart. And just taking some nice, conscious, lush, deep breaths. Nothing else to do and nowhere else to be. Now coming back to more conscious awareness of your body, wriggling your fingers and toes. And bringing one hand to your belly and one hand to your heart center. We'll finish up our practice with 5 rounds of Goranga breathing. Just going in your own time at a volume that feels comfortable for you. It can be quiet if you like, or it can be a deep belly, loud Goranga, just whatever feels good. Goranga. 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 One more time. Goranga. Allowing the mantra to resonate through your mind and heart. And taking a moment of gratitude, grateful for the opportunity to practice these beautiful yogic practices, all the way from the physical to the spiritual, and the more subtle practices. And slowly stretching out into your limbs and rocking your head from side to side. And rolling over onto your side and then pressing yourself up to sit. And closing off our practice by bringing our palms together in prayer position. Bowing our heads to offer our respects to each other. And bowing our heads once more to offer our respects to the Supreme Soul. Namaste. Thank you so much.